Hello everyone. Welcome back to more Minecraft. Oh my god, these flowers are becoming a pain. These freaking cactus flowers are like cool, but they're like growing on my cactus constantly. Anyway, yeah, hello. I know I already said that, but whatever. I've just been working on a couple of things here. Namely, I've been getting a couple more bees here and there. You know, I've been working on getting honey production higher. I have all of these beehives now. I only have this many bees, but I have all these hives now. So they have plenty of room to make honey. And I just harvested some moments ago, as you might be able to see. I've done a little work on the ziggurat because I had a chest full of Tuff, and I figured I would put it to some use at least. So you can start to see some things. I put a hole in the structure right here for now, so that I can get in and out easier. One thing I've kind of come to realize as I've been building this is that once I get the main structure constructed, it won't be too difficult to get in and out. But, like, it's kind of a pain right now. I have to climb all the way up here, and then I have to use the scaffolding to get down. That'll be alleviated some once I get this floor done and I can build the stairs that are supposed to be in the middle. You know, it'll be alleviated some, not a lot though. So, but yeah, so I've just got this little hole right here for now, so that I can go in and out without too much difficulty. I need to still make some more signs, but that will come later. As per before, we have, 8 shulker boxes? And I'm thinking it's time that we considered doing a little bit of work on said shulker boxes. Namely going in and dyeing a handful of them, I think. Does this make pink dye? Yes, it does. Okay. And then, is this something that I can bone meal? Is the question. To get more. I know that in some versions you can, and I know in like modded you definitely can, but I don't remember if that's a vanilla feature or not. Yes, it is. Okay. Cool. I think it's only with the big flowers, but it is in fact a vanilla feature, at least with the big flowers, and that makes me happy because A, they're renewable in that case, very easily. And B, I mean, I guess that's it. I don't know. They're just easy to get pink dye, I guess, is what I'm trying to say. And I do love me the pink anything, really, honestly. Love me my pink anything, really. I'll just throw those in there for now. But yeah. Sorry, my brain was just like, and now what? So, one thing we need to do is we need to go get more Tuff. There's other things that we definitely need to consider doing as well, other than just grabbing the Tuff. But it's a good place to start at least, I think. I'm not entirely sure. I was gonna say, I don't even know if I have enough lava for that. Great. I love that I've gotten one block. Oh, no, wait. Never mind. I've gotten a little bit more. Well, at least this tells me that this is not too far down, which was my main concern. Can those do be capable of growing? I just need more. In that case. Like that. So now we have 3 dripstone capable of dripping. And hopefully we can just keep growing that. If I could find a dripstone cave, we could get plenty of dripstone. I just have not been able to find a dripstone cave yet. Oops. One sec. I just remembered that I don't actually have any torches on me. So I need to go grab some torches. And maybe even do a little bit of sleep, since it seems like it's getting on the dark side. And as everybody knows, you don't want to go mining at night. Mining at nighttime is the better option. But, you know, that's the song, right? That's the meme, don't mine at night. Let's grab a little more food too while I'm thinking about it. I'm just trying to decide how much I want to grab here. And then we can go put it on the campfires that are over here. And get those cooking. I will say, I went back and watched the April Fool's stream that I did. Well, I watched a little bit of it, and like, holy frick, that the voice modulation that I was using was annoying as heck, dude. Like, wow. Like, I knew that I wasn't going to be able to really do a good, fully female sounding voice for, you know, the entire stream. so I was like, well, maybe I can just do voice modulation. And not entirely sure that that was a great plan. Because, wow, that voice modulation was annoying. I mean, I guess for an April Fool's stream, it kind of was, you know, fooly. Like, it did kind of seem, I don't know, like a joke. It was just a almost 4-hour joke. And it was kind of terrible with the voice modulator, so I don't know. You can tell me what you thought of it, I suppose. I just, like, going back and rewatching it just felt, like, really rough. But then again, I don't like going back and watching my old regular streams either. I don't think that my voice is even remotely good for any of that sort of stuff. I really dislike the way that my, like, actual voice sounds. Just in general. So going back and rewatching any of the streams, I'm just like, why do I do this? Why do I make videos? I don't even sound good at all, you know? But I know that I didn't I did all of that and I never grabbed the torches, by the way. Freaking seriously. I literally did not grab the torches at all. That's so annoying. We'll take this path back then. Back to the old storage. My sand is still here, by the way. I haven't done anything with that, along with just a bunch of random crap that I haven't actually done anything with. Ooh, water bucket, actually. That wouldn't hurt. Here, I'm gonna put some of these shulkers away. I really don't think we need all of these. Whoops. That's not what I want. I'm just looking to see what I have in here. Didn't think I would have any torches or anything like that. But like flint, you know? I take that flint out and take it up with me. And then I can grab some torches up here. I mean, I'll have to make some, but in the meantime, I can also stop and drop this flint off. And then we should have some sticks in here. Plenty. And then we should be able to just grab like 32 coal. And then we can make 2 stacks of torches. Cool. And then we can just go right back down. And we can return to the mine. I am also a little curious what people thought of the Nintendo Switch 2 Direct. I personally thought it was pretty good. But if you watched my video on that, you saw my reaction to everything. So I don't know that I need to, you know, restate all of the things that I said there in the video. But yeah, I'm definitely curious. I do understand that for a lot of people, one of the big sticking points that people are currently complaining about is the price tag. Not a lot of people are exactly happy with the fact that it's a $500 console. That's understandable. It is on the pricey side. And I'm not advocating for it when I say this, but unfortunately it is just the nature of like our world at this point. Freaking the problem that I have with sitting here and complaining about the price tag is simply the fact that like things get more expensive as time goes on. I guess, inflation happens. Prices go up as time goes on, and sure, I too would love to yearn for the days of freaking $200 to $300 consoles, but I just don't feel that that's realistic. I just really don't think that that's I don't know another way to put it. I just don't think it's realistic to expect that games will stay at those kinds of prices. I really think that we're just gonna have to come to grips with the fact that prices are what they are, and that's just how it is. And maybe it's just the people that I grew up with. I had grandparents that lived through the Great Depression for the majority of my childhood. And I grew up listening to them talk about how prices back then were just way lower. We look at $200 price tag and think like, oh man, like that's so bad. But my grandma lived at a time when prices were 10 cents for things. And unfortunately, the very real reality of reality is that they you know, my grandparents and my family and everything, we had to, like, learn that these prices were just the new norm, you know? It's like, look, you know, freaking, simply put, 10 cents for a gallon of milk was nice back in the freaking 50s, but that's just not the case, nor has it been the case for 70 years now, if not more at this point, you know? Like, yeah, a lot of us were young enough to live through that period of games being $20 to $30. And we still remember those times. And yeah, we still want those times. But realistically, it just can't happen. Not unless we... I mean, even with what I'm about to say, it still wouldn't happen. But, like, unless we as a society can come together and find some means of existence that doesn't rely on money, you know. And I do think there are plenty of ways to do that. I do. We are in an age now where I really do legitimately think that if the big wigs, the higher ups, you know, put their heads together and created the systems, we live in a day and age where computers can handle everything now. You know, like, if you think about it, money is just a method of saying, I give you this, you give this to me back, and we track that. You know, we track that transaction. That's the word I'm looking for. But, like, we don't need money to do that anymore. You know? You could go to Walmart and scan items on a register. And there you go. You now know how many of that item you put out. You know, we live in a day and age where there's receipts and computers, and I really do think that we could go to a completely moneyless society if we wanted to. The problem is, nobody that's in power wants to do that because they only are staying in power because of money. You know? I really do think that we could be on the cusp of, within the next couple 100 years, you know, of escaping from that. Escaping from that need for money, or, you know, just because computers are just gonna get better and be able to track more things and be able to handle, like, okay, you know, you gave this, and therefore now I have one less of that, and I don't know. Maybe one day. Probably not within my lifetime. Or, like, by the end of my lifetime. like at the absolute earliest. But I just really think that that's where things are going. You know, the current generation is completely just fed up with the concept of being poor, of not having what they need. And it's one thing for not having what you want, right? It's a whole nother thing for not having what you need. And there absolutely should not be any reason at all why every human being cannot have health care. There just isn't at this point. Not only are there more than enough doctors out there, there's more than enough companies making medications and researching medications and researching freaking viruses, and there's no real reason why we remain where we are except for simply the fact that we have always been here. And a big change like that would obviously need to be made worldwide to begin with. And, like, that's a big thing to begin with, right? Like, that's good luck with that to begin with. But then freaking, you know, getting the people in power to even be willing to give up their power, really. Like, nah, we're not gonna have that. Like, it's just not gonna happen. I mean, that's what we're seeing even now, pretty much, is the people who have always had power are starting to realize that if they don't forcibly take that power, everything that they've ever had is going to collapse. You know? Things are going the way things are going, just things like billionaires are just not something that can be what's the word I'm looking for? Crap, I like literally just had it for a split second. Like it's not something that can be sustained. That's the word I'm looking for. It can't be sustained. Like the longer you have the billionaire, right? The less the less chance of that person being able to hold on to that. Because the world is realizing, like, look, we don't have to freaking, you know, stay like this. Like, we don't have to sit here and wallow in squalor anymore just because 5 people have decided that. And it's the change is coming, you know. It might take 100 years, it might take 200 years, but the change is coming. Like, you can't deny it. And when I look at the news and the way that it's like, okay, you know, all of the rich people are trying to figure out new ways that they can screw over the people without money. because they're slowly realizing that they can't sustain themselves anymore. Like, the more I'm like, yeah, that's the problem. You can't keep sustaining yourself. It is impossible. It is like, it legitimately is impossible for you to maintain this forever. You know, not even like just in your own life, but you know, your children's lives or your grandchildren's lives. You know, I mean, most of these billionaires, I don't think, even care that far ahead. And unfortunately, I mean, that really is the thing. It seems like that they're trying as hard as they can to have everything because that's all they have. You know? If we take away their billions, what do they have? They have nothing. Plain and simple. That's literally it. They have nothing. They have exactly what everybody else has, and they fear that. They're afraid of that. And they're realizing that that fear is founded. Like, that they are literally coming to grasp with the fact that that's just the way it is. You know? That they literally cannot keep, that they can't sustain. It's not sustainable. Because we're entering into an age where we just don't need billionaires anymore. You know? It's not unlike when we went from feudalism to capitalism. You know, the lords became concerned because they were starting to realize that the lower non-nobles were starting to be able to do the same things as them and own the same things as them, and they did not like that. And ultimately they fought against it, and ultimately it didn't work out. Like, their system doesn't exist anymore. So, and I really think we're seeing that. We're just seeing history repeat itself, if you will. We're watching as the current lords are discovering that they're not needed. So, and that's just that scares them because they don't have anything else. I could also just be, you know, talking out my freaking ass here, which is totally fine. Like, I do that all the time. I'm not an intelligent person at all. So, it's actually really funny because I recently had a talk with my family at one point. And like I got tired of them arguing and, you know, berating me and things, and I said, look, I get it. You know, you hate me, You think that I am stupid? You're right. Like, I am an idiot. And one of them went, well, you know better than that. I'm like, I'm sorry? You know better than that. You know that's not how we feel. I'm not sure I follow. I'm telling you exactly how you make me feel. Please explain how I'm not supposed to feel that way. And apparently this bothered my dad most of all, because he has taken to starting to say things like, it's not that I think you're stupid, when he tries to tell me something. And I'm like, that's exactly what it is, though. Like, you can't just say that and assume that makes it all the better. You know? Because that's exactly what it is. You know? And it was hilarious because it was just today even. Usually I have my doctor appointments, and then because there's a Taco Bell that's like right next door, and I freaking love Taco Bell so much, we usually go over to the Taco Bell and get food. And I walked into the Taco Bell and there were 3 workers, which is normal. It was, lunch rush period. And there were 3 people working, which I'm sorry, but no. No. You don't work 3 people for the busiest time of the day. You know, I'm sorry, but no. That was just plain stupid. But, I got into a discussion about that with my dad, and I was like, because it took me forever to get in and out and everything, and he was like, wow, they must have been busy. I'm like, they were certainly something. Maybe if their companies allowed them to work more than 3 people during the busy period, And my dad's trying to make all these excuses like, well, you can't work, rush hour workers the whole day. I'm like, okay. That has nothing to do with the fact that it's rush hour. They absolutely could be working rush hour workers during rush hour, And we got into this whole discussion about, listen, freaking greedy CEOs, my angle the whole time was greedy CEOs want money. That's all they care about. And my dad was trying to, argue, I'm not even entirely sure what he was trying to argue, to be completely honest. Because he was saying all kinds of stuff, being like, well, you can't always have people work that much, and this, that, and, I'm like, You're using circular reasoning. So what? You're literally arguing for what I am saying and then trying to claim that you're arguing against what I'm saying. What? somehow this turned into, he was like, well, you know, God, one of the, you know, God realized that one of the 10 most important things for people to live by was not being envious. And I kind of paused for a moment and I was like, I'm sorry? I don't understand how me saying that more workers should be working in Taco Bell during the rush hour period is me being envious? And he said some crap about, like, you know, well, yeah, it is envious. You're wanting what they have. And like, first off, that has nothing to do with me. You know, like, I don't understand what you're trying to pull something that has nothing to do with me and then claiming that I am arguing that. Like, that you know, this will benefit me. What, like, I'm sitting here being like, I was annoyed that some of the customers were getting upset. Whereas I'm just sitting there, like, happily doing my own thing, just waiting. You know? Like, I was not bothered. I was not bothered. I was not, and you know, I'm not envious. I'm not saying I want millions of dollars. I'm saying that companies should be working their employees. You know? And I'll admit things got a little heated. And I always tend to just go off when things get heated. And I looked at him straight and I was just like, look, I don't care what a fake deity that you know is fake, that you don't believe in, says. And he's like, he responds with, you know better than that. I'm like, no, I don't. Actually, I do. I know better than to believe in something that's, one, false, provably, and B, that you don't even believe in yourself. And he shut up at that point because we were walking into the house. And so he could turn around and, you know, go do his own things and whatnot. But I'm like, no, I'm sorry. I refuse to believe in something that they want to claim they believe in, but then they don't. Show me you believe in it, you know? If you want me to believe in this thing, you have to be the one to believe in it first. Otherwise, why would I have any desire to believe in it? They don't believe in it. So, like, I'm not gonna believe in it either. Just simple fact. It was too bad, though, because as is the norm, like 5 minutes later, in my own head, I was starting to think of, like, oh wait, I could have, like, I could have stated, like, you know, like when he said, you know, one of the 10 most important things, you know, was don't be envious. I could have been like, yeah, and above the 10 most important things, he also said that this is even more important, which is love and give. So you want to sit here and tell me that these are the most important things, but that's not at all what is said in the book. You know? Freaking, I'm like, I'm sorry, but maybe, read your book first before you try to argue what your book says, But yeah, unfortunately, as always, freaking my autistic mind is like, oh, conflict? No, please. I don't want. I will just avoid this now. And then it shuts down. And then I can't think of arguments. Even when I've practiced several arguments. It's like, nope, I can't. Because freaking autistic brain. My autistic brain hates any amount of conflict. So, and I mean, that is that is, as far as I'm aware, just a straight up autistic thing, is that even a little bit of conflict can just completely shut you down. And whether my parents acknowledge that they know that or not, I know that they know that. And so they don't need to try to formulate any kind of intelligent argument, because they know that all they have to do is create the presence of an argument. It's like, because I was, he was using circular reasoning and literally agreeing to what I was saying while trying to argue against what I was saying. And it's like, he knows that he can do that, though, because I'll just shut down and then he wins. And unfortunately, I just don't know a way to stop that. So it's like, it doesn't matter what he says, because I will shut down before we can come to any actual conclusion or agreement or anything. So I had something like that in FF14 today as well, but I can't remember what. Where it was just like, I guess I got on the nerves of a couple of players because I was being nice. The Final Fantasy XIV community is the most freaking, like, wishy-washy community I have ever seen. Like, the whole thing is just that they are trying to be nice people and kind and not, flame and troll and be mean, because, like, all of that's just straight up against Square Enix rules. And they know they'll get in trouble. If they do, like, Square Enix won't allow that, just straight up. Like, so they know that if they do that, that they will in fact get in trouble. But at the same time, they're just like, okay, yes, our community is nice, but also like, nah, I don't want to be nice. I'm just like, okay, look, if you want to be a terrible, toxic community, be a terrible, toxic community. It's no skin off my back. I don't care. I mean, it sucks that I would probably stop playing Final Fantasy XIV because of, the toxic community, just like I did World of Warcraft. But, like, it's fine. Like, if you want to be horrible, toxic community, be horrible, toxic community. You know? But don't sit here and pretend like you're not. You know? I'm sorry, but you are fully within your rights to go World of Warcraft and be horrible people. Like, World of Warcraft players. Like, if you're going to do that, though, then do that. Like, don't pretend you're these nice, like, cool people that are super helpful and whatnot, And I know that somebody's going to say, like, well, yes, keep in mind that it's a community, right? So you're gonna have some that are bad and you're have some that are good. Like, and I totally get that. But I have run into many of the same people who are nice until they're not. And then they're just horrible. And it just makes me laugh because, like, first off, why be toxic? Like, does being toxic get a rise out of people? Like, does it do the dopamine for them? I mean, yes, like 100%. That's exactly what it is. Freaking, they have learned that being mean gives them the dopamine because freaking being nice doesn't give them the kind of dopamine hits that they maybe would really like to have. Some of it is that they don't really know how to not be terrible. But I don't know that I fully agree with that, in that I can very clearly see some of these people not being terrible, like on the reg, and then just one day they're like, blah! They go I guess they go vampire. That's what I did apparently there. Freaking, I did a vampire. Blah, blah! I have come to suck your blood, blah, blah. But it's just like, look, as crappy as it would be for, this community, the Final Fantasy XIV community to become terrible, like, just do it. Like, I'm not advocating for them to become terrible. I'm saying that if they're going to be terrible, just be terrible. Let us who are not terrible then move on to something else. But right now, there's enough hope that maybe people aren't terrible that we want to stick around. But that hope gets dashed constantly when people are just legitimately being terrible people. So, and I immediately suspect that one of the reactions to that, right, is going to be, well, how are they being terrible? All you're saying is that they're being terrible. And like, yeah, the problem is that I can't think of any one specific, like, thing that they do, right? I'm struggling to think of any one specific thing. Like, legitimately, I'm legitimately struggling to come up with one specific thing. Because there's so much. You know? It's like... I guess here's an example, right? Like, when we do some of the early alliance raids, I have a macro that tells people, like, hey, if you're new, here's info on some of the important mechanics of the fight that we'll see, you know, like, now you can know them and watch for them and, you know, so on and so forth. And I do get the, stop doing that, that's so annoying. I'm like, nah. Because, I'm sorry, like, I'm not posting it for you. Like, I'm posting it for the newbies, you know? Like, you can just ignore it. It's not a big deal. You know? It's like, are you a newbie? No, then what I'm posting isn't meant for you anyway. So don't worry about it. Just don't worry about it. You know? I guess that would be my big example of, like, Final Fantasy XIV toxicity, especially lately, is when I started playing back in Shadowbringers, there was definitely a lot of, hey, you're new? Okay, then we'll help you learn. And like, hey, it's okay if you're new and we can help you out in things. And the amount of that has not only gone down, like the amount of like, hey, you know, we'll help, you know, you're new, we'll help you learn. Like, that's not only has that gone down, but it's starting to become the norm that if you are helpful, it's a problem. And being helpful is just annoying and you should stop. And I'm like, nah. And somebody earlier today, when I posted the macro, and they were like, no, stop. I'm like, I don't care. Like, I'm giving new people information. It's not about you, you know? And so I just, like, kept posting the macros and things. And one of them was like, you know, you come off as condescending that you just keep posting more macros, despite people telling you to stop. I'm like, and? I'm not posting it for you. Like, I am helping new players. Like, that's that. I'm sorry, but it doesn't matter to me what you, the person that has run this the 50th time, says, because the thing I'm posting isn't for you. You know? And it's like, here I am posting the macros. And, like, in the Alliance chat, because this was in Crystal Tower, which is usually really the only place I do that. You know, but we're running Crystal Tower and everything. And, like, in the Alliance chat, I'm getting, you know, that's so annoying. Stop doing that. Nobody reads this stuff. Yada yada. You know, like, being really obnoxious and kind of mean about it. And then in party chat, I had the two sprouts that were in my party being like, hey, thanks for letting us know. You know, like, they're literally saying, like, hey, thanks for, like, helping us and telling us these mechanics. I'm like, no problem. Like, I'm a mentor. That's my job. You know? Like, I have the mentor tag. Like, it's my job to do that. I am responsible for mentoring because I have a mentor tag. Like, that's all that matters, in my opinion. You know? And so at one point I did post in the Alliance chat, I'm like, you know, hey, you all say no, but I get just as many people telling me thanks. And one of them that was in another alliance was like, yeah, whatever, I don't see it. I'm like, 'cause you're not in the party chat. Because that's where it's at. That's where I'm getting the people saying thanks, is in the party chat. Of course you're not gonna see it. You're not in my alliance. You don't see my party chat. That's why there's an alliance chat. You know? I just ignore anytime somebody complains about it. It's actually really funny because I actually have had people complain about it. You know, and they're just like, stop, it's so annoying. And so I was like, there was one time I was like, alright, so I won't. That's fine. Alright. Then I won't post them. And literally one of the people that had just said to stop, like, it was, I think it was even the exact same person, like, immediately was like, wait, no, don't actually stop. I was joking around. I'm like, nope, too late. But they were really helpful. Nope, sorry, don't care. Too late now. But I don't know this boss. Don't care. Please? Nope. It's like, no, I'm sorry. You be mean, that's what's gonna happen. Like, I don't know what did you expect? You tell me stop, I stop. What did you expect to happen? You know? And it's, I don't know, again, it's the Final Fantasy XIV community. They are legitimately the nicest group of asshats that I have ever met. And that's just the way it is. Like, they're all freaking ridiculously rude. While at the same time being some of the nicest people I've ever met. You know, and it, you know, again, it's not the community. It's legitimately there are people that I have played with that are straight up mean and toxic. And then when they get their way, they're like, oh crap, I didn't actually mean. I'm like, then don't do it. Like, it's just that simple. Like, they become all apologetic, like, well, I was just kind of joking around and memeing. I'm like, nope. I'm sorry, but, like, I'm glad that you apologized, but nope. Too late. If you're gonna be mean, then, oh well. Maybe learn to not be mean to begin with. And there you go. Not only is your life improved, but everybody around you has an improved life. Because you're not being mean to them, which means that they have no reason to be mean to you. And if everybody did that, there would be no mean. You know? Like, nobody would be mean at that point. Well, think about how boring the world would be. Would it? A world where we respect each other and are kind to one another. There's one thing about joking around with your friends and being quote unquote mean, fake mean. That's an entirely different thing. Being fake mean to real people that you don't know, you don't do that. Because somebody's gonna assume that you're being real mean. And therefore, they're gonna turn around and be real mean back to you. And then all of a sudden, what the frick? You were just joking around. It's like, no, I'm sorry, but that's not the way life works. You know? Be fake, jokey, mean with your friends. I will not, complain. You and your friends want to do that? Great. If you have fun being fake mean to each other, great. Don't do that to people that you don't know. It's that simple. And if you can't do that, you know, if you're like me and you can be fake mean sometimes to some people, but then you forget about the whole, you know, don't be fake mean to people you don't know thing, then just don't be fake mean at all. You know, you're not gonna lose friends because you realized that you just can't be fake mean. You know, without screwing it up or something to that degree. Like, it's not a big deal. Like, it's super easy to just say, okay, you know what? I can't handle being fake mean to friends. Because when I do that to friends, I forget when I'm not with those friends and that I'm fake mean to people. So I'm just not going to be fake mean to anybody. Like, that's all it takes. It really is. I mean, that's why I stopped doing the whole being fake mean thing. Because, like, I had friends as a kid. I mean, I had like 2, but I had friends as a kid, and we were the type that liked to be fake mean to each other. And then I was fake mean to a lot of people. And I very quickly learned, like, oh, being fake mean to people you don't know makes them be real mean back. And, like, that's not good. Maybe I just don't do it at all then. It's like, you know what? If I can't separate the two, then I'm just not gonna do it at all. I remember as a kid growing up, I lived right at the beginning of the internet age. And, you know, us as teens were kind of setting the rules of what the internet was. And, like, how you talk and how you type. You know, you typed the letter U instead of typing the whole word you, Y-O-U, you know. Or you didn't spell it cool, you spelled it K-E-W-L, Q-L. And I realized one day, like, I was starting to do that on my school tests. Like, my teacher was legitimately getting upset because I was doing that on my freaking school tests. And she's like, what the frick? Like, this is, you know, English? It was both English and word building, which became etymology. I don't know what the equivalent is in public schools, but we had, it was just called word building for 9 years. And freaking, I swear that by year freaking like 6 or 7, they just started repeating words. For sure, that's what my classes were doing with English. Freaking, why was I getting 12th grade? Well, it wasn't 12th grade, it was 10th grade English. But, like, why was I getting 10th grade English? And being taught how to diagram sentences as if I had never been taught before. This is a preposition. Do you know what a verb is in 10th grade? I'm like, yes, I know what a verb is. Like, what? My school was stupid about that, to be honest. And I don't know what public schools are like at all. I don't know what, you know, how English is taught in public schools or anything. In the webcomic that I made, I pulled entirely from my schooling, which was all private schooling, because I had no idea what public schooling was like. So, you know, I have a character that's like, that at one point mentions exactly that. Like, why do we get 12 years of English And yet, like, it seems like the courses are just repeating every 3 to 4 years. Because that's what was going on at the school that I was going to. Like, I kid you not, I felt legitimately like I was doing first grade English in 10th grade. Do you know what a verb is? What is a noun? Can you tell me what a noun does? It's a person, place, or thing. You know, like you taught me the other 3 years that you taught me this. You know? My school was stupid, though. I'm fully aware of that. Like, I did not realize how dumb my school was until I actually freaking got out of school. Because, like, I was super proud of my school. I was like, yeah, I went to this school. And, like, you know, like, some of my classes were, like, advanced classes. And, like, I learned so many things. And then I talked to a couple people that were in public school, and they're like, what? Why is that being taught to you in freaking 8th grade? You should be past that by now, you know? Freaking, it was so bad, dude. Like, my school was so dumb. It really was. And it was really sad when the realization of how bad my school had been came to me, because up until then, you know, it was really all I had ever known. But I had met several people that had come from public schools who were like, man, they would never have taught us this in public school. And I was just like, okay, you know, like, look, freaking the private school here that I'm going to, like, teaching, like, all the things. And then I just discovered that, no, actually, it was just that school was terrible. And, like, legitimately, it was that school was terrible. And, like, regular schools are nowhere near like that, you know? And I'm like, oh. You know, having had no public schooling at all, it was just like, yeah, I don't know what public schooling is like. I can only believe what I see and what I'm told, you know? And my family drilled into me and my brother just how terrible public schools were. Not that they had gone to a public school in 40 years by that point. I don't know if 40 is the right amount. I don't think so, but because what, they're 70 now? So it would have been like 30 years. You know? Freaking, I don't know, how old am I? 36? Like, you know, right there. There you go. Freaking, I was the last born in my family. Like, they had finished school and had 3 children over, like, the 10 years before I was born. So, like, they had been out of school for a long time already before I was born. Freaking, but it was just like I had nothing else. And like that's the thing. Like that's how they get you, right? That's how, the world determined like communism is bad back in the 50s and 60s, because they didn't have communists in America. They only had America. And they looked at, the Soviet Union and China and were like, they're not doing what we're doing. They bad. Regardless of whether or not communism was bad. And I'm not here to advocate one way or another on that, by the way. I'm not saying it was good. I'm not saying it was bad. I truly, I don't know. But like, the more connected we as a species become, the more we realize just how much we were getting, I don't want to use the word brainwashed, but basically, like by our communities, we were getting taught things by our community with no evidence given, or fake evidence given sometimes. That's the big one. And so we were just like, oh yeah, I accept that as fact. And then there's still people even today who believe in things that aren't, just straight up aren't true, because that's how they were raised. They were raised in a community that made them believe those things. And they just never stopped to question it, because by that point, that's just what they've always known, That's why cults like to try to draw people in that are desperate or young. That's also why the number one most important thing that you can ever do in your life is accept nothing as truth without evidence. Like, that's it. It is the most important thing you can do with your life. And it is the number one thing for how to live. Accept nothing without evidence. Anything that is believed without evidence can equally be dismissed without evidence. Only believe what you yourself can prove. Only believe in stuff that's provable. Evidence. We can prove the speed of light. Sort of. We can prove the two-way speed of light, which is technically important to remember. We know the two-way speed of light, because we've never been able to measure the one-way speed of light. Because measuring the speed of light in one direction is not only difficult, but kind of, to a degree, impossible with our current technology. You know, don't believe in stuff like nuclear power is the worst thing to ever exist and it will destroy us all. Unless you can prove that. And the fact of the matter is that's provably false. You know? If you actually look at what we are doing today to ensure that nuclear power is safe. Like, there's just no evidence anymore. Sure, you can absolutely point to Chernobyl and say, look at how terrible that was. Let me point you to freaking 3 Mile Island and the reactor in Japan that did not explode like Chernobyl. Despite taking the same, if not more, damage. Yeah, it did melt down, but it didn't explode the way that Chernobyl did. It's because of the fact that we have improved our safety. We've learned better ways of doing things. Anyway, the point of that rant is literally just, you know, don't believe anything without evidence. And if no evidence can be provided, then there's a really high chance that it's false. And unfortunately, that's just... unfortunately, my family is just not one of those types of people. My family is not the type of people that believes things through evidence. Or does, you know, like believes... that chooses to believe or not believe based on evidence. They purely believe just based off of whatever they choose, that whatever it is that they choose. And whether it's, you know, this person has the same beliefs as me, so therefore they obviously have to be a great person. And no, I'm not kidding. That is, in fact, something I've literally been told before. It's like, this person is a Christian and believes in what we believe. I'm like, and? So that makes him a good person. Why? Are you claiming that Christians are perfect? Because humans are not perfect. Humans, no matter what their beliefs, can still be horrible people. Well, he's not, because he believes what we believe. Does he, though? Why? What makes you think that he does? Because he says so. That's my favorite one. Well, because he says so. Okay. let me just go ahead and tell you a bunch of things that you believe in then. And surely I believe in everything that I'm telling you in that case, even when I have very actively spoken against those things. Because, you know, it's not like I could be lying or anything. It's not like, you know, I've been lying for the last 30 some odd years to them. That they just can't fathom. That they just can't fathom it for some reason. I'm like, you're lying to yourself. You know? No wonder you can't. No wonder you. The very concept of somebody lying to you is unfathomable. You lie to yourself every single day, so much so that you have begun to fully believe the lie. You tell I've had like a rough day today. So I don't mean to like go off on these. What is it about Minecraft that freaking I end up going off on these like rants every time? I feel like I need to play and like just record Minecraft constantly. Maybe I could actually get this stuff out of my head for once. Actually, funny enough, my therapist and I were talking about that a little bit today. Just that with the amount of stuff that I go through, like, you know, my brain, my mind is just so full of crap that I legitimately have to just not let myself think the whole day, because otherwise I would just constantly be struggling the whole day long. And let me tell you, that is not a good way to live. Just straight up. I love my therapist, dude. I'm actually a little sad that, like, she's going to a different, like, position. Like, I'm happy for her, don't get me wrong. I guess I just never... I'm gonna be... listen, I'm gonna be completely honest with you when I say this, okay? And, like, I'm kind of getting a little emotional right now, so apologies, but... that is legitimately the first time. Like, when I said that, you know, I love my therapist. Like, that is legitimately the first time I have even thought about, like, how good she is. And, like, that she's a great therapist. It's the first time I've allowed myself to think that. Because I just don't allow myself to think. Because I would just be doing nothing but fighting with myself all day long. Because I can't fight with the people that are actually causing me the strife. because they will just, they will not only fight back, they will hit me in the weak spot. Because they know where the weak point is. Freaking, they'll do the weak point smash on me every time. I'll be a freaking captain unit in freaking Hyrule Warriors. Speaking of Hyrule Warriors, oh my gosh, I'm so hyped, dude. The amount of people that I have seen that are like, oh god, no, please don't do more, has been like staggering to me. Because the first two Hyrule Warriors games were so good. Like, I love Hyrule Warriors and Age of Calamity. They're fun games. And like, oh, my avatar broke because I was taking a drink. And like the moment that I realized that it was a Warriors game, I was already excited. But then the moment that I realized it was a Hyrule Warriors game, I got so hyped. I guess. I had to reset the camera. Oh, excuse me. Sorry. I finally found something that is not terrible for me. That, like, I can drink. You know? I guess I should say I finally found, like, a type of water that I can, like, enjoy. And it's nice. Problem is that it's expensive, naturally, because, you know, it's freaking water. Of course that's going to be freaking expensive. You know, it's not like it's something that you need to live or anything. But yeah, I don't know. Like, again, sorry that I'm just, like, ranting and rambling in these, like, random directions, but it's just, I have no way to get these, like, things out. You know? Aside, obviously, from my therapist, who is great, and I'm able to talk with and get this kind of stuff out, too. Like, outside of her, I have no way of releasing this, like, stress and this anxiety and this pain. I don't know of another word for it. Just, like, the constant pain and struggle that I feel. And I know that somebody's gonna be like, what do you have to struggle for, you know? Like, whatever, I guess, if that's how you really feel. I would assume that none of my viewers are like that. Partially because I feel like y'all should know what I, like, struggle with and whatnot. And what I go through, because I talk about it so regularly. At least I feel like I talk about it so regularly. You know, I'm not afraid to open up, you know, on my streams and recordings. Yes, I'm sure that I do wear some level of a mask when I'm streaming and or recording. You know, I'm not going to sit here and be like, I'm 100% real, unlike your favorite YouTuber, you know. But I at least try to be, like, as real as I can be. So, and I know that's not for everybody. You know, a lot of people watch freaking YouTube videos to get away from those kinds of stresses. Like, I understand that. I do the same thing. You know, I freaking sit and watch YouTube all day because it's not like I have anything else to do. Freaking, I'll go play Final Fantasy 14 for a little while, I guess. Oh wait, I've already done that today. Freaking, I've already done all of my roulettes today. I have nothing else to do. Not true. I haven't done the new raid this week. I should do that after this. Assuming I'm still awake. So, it's actually not that late right now. But it has been a very long day. And it started very early. Like, I woke up around, like, freaking 5 o'clock this morning. And time of recording, like, right now, it is 11:30. How many of you just looked at your clocks to see what time it was? That must have been a creeper. Nope, it was a skeleton. Just I got hit. I turned around. There was nothing there. So I just assumed it must have been a creeper. But nope, it looks like it was a skeleton. Okay, well, I've lit this area up. So I must be near something. Oh yeah. I know right where I am, in fact. This is yet another one of the Tuff mines that I started doing, that I then stopped because it freaking opened up into all of these freaking areas like this. But I'm so excited. Like, I get it. Age of Calamity did kind of, you know, bother some people. And I'm sure that some people are concerned because, like, Age of Calamity was supposed to be a sequel to Tears of the Kingdom, and then it wasn't. And so now they're like, well, you know, Age of Imprisonment, they're gonna say, like, this is a prequel, but then it's not gonna be. But, to be honest, Age of Calamity was put out as a prequel while Tears of the Kingdom was still in production. To a point where I'm fairly certain, just based off of the fact that they made claims about Tears of the Kingdom, or Age of Calamity being important to Tears of the Kingdom, and then it wasn't. Like, I really think that halfway through production of Tears of the Kingdom, a major shift in, like, development idea happened. It took them 5 years to produce what was equivalent to DLC packs. That doesn't happen when everything is going smoothly, you know? Like, you don't just have a game take 5 years when the game prior to it only took 5 years. Unless there is some major change in development plans. And I legitimately do think that they had a plan where Age of Calamity and the time travel thing was going to actually affect Tears of the Kingdom. I'm even willing to bet you that it wasn't even Tears of the Kingdom at the time. Because what we got was very much not what they told us they were working on. You know? Like, you don't say, well, if we revealed the name of the game now, then everybody would understand immediately what the plot is. When the name was Tears of the Kingdom. You know? And the Tears of the Kingdom and everything were the freaking Zonai tears and... Nah. 100%. Like, that's how certain I am. That a major change happened in development. I would even go as far as to say they probably axed whatever they were working on and started over. And what we ended up getting from that was Tears of the Kingdom. And so they put out Age of Calamity thinking that that was going to be the story that they were putting out. But then it wasn't, because they axed whatever that game was. You know, it's similar to how Ocarina of Time was not at all what we were told it was going to be throughout its production. At some point during Ocarina of Time's production, freaking Zelda 64 became Ocarina of Time. I do not think it started as Zelda 6. I do not think it started as Ocarina of Time. I don't think the Ocarina of Time even played a major part in the story until at least halfway through production. I think they legitimately had some major changes happen. Whoops. During Ocarina of Time's production. I mean, they haven't explicitly said a bunch of things changed during production that made us basically make a different game. But they have said things kept changing in the game right up to the deadline. You know? It's like, it was 2 months. I don't remember where I saw the posts. But I believe it was Asia Numa. Again, never believe anything. Never fully believe anything without proof. And I wish I could, I wish I knew where to find that information so that I could try to actually show you proof. And also so that I wouldn't be spreading misinformation, Like, because that's on me if I'm the one spreading if what I am saying is misinformation, But I do remember a post from somebody in the development crew saying that development kept changing over and over and over right up until the absolute deadline came around. God, I'm so glad I figured out that that's a freaking default thing. Like that's vanilla behavior. I'm so glad I discovered that. It makes this so much easier. But yeah, like there was stuff like the lens of truth, for example, that like got changed. Or maybe it wasn't the lens of truth. I don't know that they ever specifically said, to be honest. I think they just mentioned that there was an item that like got moved in like the story like a week before the deadline kind of thing. It was insane, dude. But it's just freaking Ocarina. Like, I think that what we got as Tears of the Kingdom was not the game that they were like making back when they released Age of Calamity. And that's one of the benefits of Tears of the Kingdom being done. Is that they aren't going in and making a Hyrule Warriors game with, the old Tears of the Kingdom in mind, if you will. The product that they are making now is for a finished product. And so I really don't think we're going to have anywhere near the same problem. I legitimately think that Age of Imprisonment will come out and it'll actually match up really well with what we know. And, the lore and whatnot that we know of. And that it'll be a really fun game, I really do think that. And I know that some people are like, well, the thing that made Hyrule Warriors so great was all of the characters. I don't think that. I vehemently disagree. On account of the fact that I have so many characters in that game that I despise using. And I legitimately wish that there was a way to cut down on the sheer volume of playable characters and things that I have to unlock to freaking unlock things in the game. Because it's absolutely ridiculous. There's just way too many things to even freaking keep, like, my brain to, like, I just can't play it all, you know? There's just too much. There's just way too many things in that game that I just cannot do. And that I really wish there was some way to kind of skip over, you know? Oop, and I'm out of emeralds. Okay. And let's smack these books with my fist, because I have Silk Touch on my axe. I don't think I can do anything with the 12 books. Like, I could buy an enchant kind of thing, you know? But I don't think I can just sell books. Well, I kind of can. It's some experience for both me and the villager, so I'll do that. Yeah, I'm good on that. That restored my pickaxe mostly back to full. So I'm okay with all of that. I'm pretty okay with how much we got out of that. Emeralds! Wow, 17 emeralds, that's it? Good golly. Goodness me. Oops. Hang on. I need torches. I either need torches or I need lanterns. Torches are easier to make. Though lanterns are kind of just as good. Because I could just kind of trade for those. Yeah, we'll just use coal. It's fine. I don't know why I always think I need to run to a crafting table to make torches. I think it's just because so much of crafting requires the use of the crafting table that I just get used to needing a crafting table for crafting. You know? And so then I'm like, alright, let's run to the crafting table so I can freaking grab some torches. And I'm like, I don't need to run to the crafting table for torches. I can just craft some torches. Seriously though, I'm so dumb. If there's one thing that my parents have drilled into me that I am 100% sure they are right about, it is how dumb I am. So. And I know some people will be like, well, they're wrong about, like, everything else, so why believe that? And, like, it's not that they're wrong about everything else, it's that a lot of other things that they believe in have no evidence. My stupidity has plenty of evidence. Trust me. Good golly, if there's anything that, like, has plenty of evidence, it's that. Like I said, don't believe anything without proof. Unfortunately, this has proof. You know, as much as I would love to deny it, this does in fact have evidence. So. And this is really about it. As far as building this goes, like, I can't really do much more with this. With the construction of the ziggurats until I get this floor finished. Like, I gotta get this entire upper level here done before I can do much more. So but yeah, I don't know how much longer I'm gonna go in this episode. Purely because A, this is being pre-recorded, and I don't really feel like the pre-records need to be as long. But also just because, like, this is what I'm going to be doing until I get this section done. Really. It's just keep putting more and more things down. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. But then 1, 2, 3, 4 to this torch. Huh. That's unfortunate. Whatever. It is what it is. I mean, none of these torches are gonna stay. Like, definitely as soon as I figure out where the lighting, where I need to place lights to keep things well lit up, I'm going to do that so that this particular build has, like, a set of, like, definitive, like, places that light is placed at. I always like to ensure that if I release, like, a blueprint of a build, that the blueprint includes the lighting. That way somebody doesn't build it and then go, I've got mobs spawning everywhere, you know. It's like, okay, I mean, yes, you need to put down torches somewhere, you know. But in this case, it's like, yeah, I can point you directly to where the torches need to be. And even more than that, I can, like, design things with the lighting in mind. I can be like, okay, there's going to be a lamp here, you know. I need light here, so let's figure out a way to put a lamp. Or, you know, a proper light block somewhere in that area and have it still look good so that you get a good looking build when it's done, and it's not just now throw torches everywhere. I have had so many builds that I've picked up from other people where I've like redesigned parts of their builds to include lighting. That way I'm not just throwing torches together all over the place. Course, I only build with like the vanilla lighting in mind. When stuff like Vibrant Visuals comes out on like Bedrock, you know, it won't be built, my builds won't like have that incorporated in them. And thus, there could be spots that are dark in accordance with, you know, the shaders. I know that shaders tend to do that. And I've complained about that, like, a lot. This idea of, like, things look better when there is extreme brightness and extreme darkness. And I'm just like, but what about not? What about making it so that I can see reliably? But it looks better. No. No. No, it does not. 0%. That is a hard disagree. Oopsies. Somehow I got these torches one block off the whole way down. Which is amazing that I managed to do exactly one block off. Like, look at that. These two torches and the two torches over there were properly aligned, but everything else was off by one block. Like, how did this even happen? What concerns me is I don't know how well lit up down there is. I mean, it seems pretty well lit up during the night. So I'm hoping that, you know, once I finish putting on all of these blocks here, that there won't be any spots that are too dark. Not that they can get to the villagers either way. But it would just be really annoying to go back to go down there and then freaking find zombies and skeletons in my base, you know? After I've like gone all of this time without that being an issue here. So I have kind of run out of things to talk about generally. But I don't know how much of that is like I've actually run out of things to say and how much of that is like I just don't want to rant further about other things bothering me. Because I've already done that the whole freaking stream. Well, recording, I suppose. You know, I've already sat here and ranted the entire time. So, nope, okay. Making sure that I hadn't missed the middle. Nope, not at all. Like, I don't even know if this is going to be enough blocks to even get me to the middle. It probably will be. Whoopsies. Here. But yeah, I don't know. I'm not coming up with anything in the way of like conversation. On one hand, having the stream is always nice because people will talk and then I can be more reactive in that it's like, oh, this person has said this thing, and so therefore now I can, like, respond to that. At the same time, it kind of poses the issue of, like, okay, but then not all of the stuff that goes on here, you know, at my stream is me, you know? Sometimes it's just me reacting to something that chat said. And then, like, turning that into my own thing. You know? Which, I don't necessarily know that that's so much a bad thing. You know? That is how memes kind of become a thing in general. Is somebody says something, people find it funny, and thus it continues to be said. And then we just kind of associate a person with that. A good example of what I mean is Vinny and some of his streams. Like, he has some, like, great stuff, but some of the memes are not his material as much as it is a chat member said, you know. Good example of that is Super Paper Mario. If Breadword from Super Paper Mario was going to become a meme, then it would have become a meme outside of Vinny's, like, streams. And it would have been a meme for, like, years. But what caused it to become a meme was him, you know, trying to get different chests and things, and the chats being like, "Oh, that contains Breadword." And then, you know, Breadword from there becomes a thing in his stream, and thus Breadword becomes a meme. Which, again, no shade at Vinny. Like, zero shade being thrown at Vinny. To be clear. Like, that's just how memes are formed. You know? I'm not saying that he's, like, lesser or anything because of that. You know? I'm just pointing out that, for me at least, and maybe this is the wrong stance to have, you know, as a streamer, but just to me, it feels like you know, if I'm gonna have a meme, I'd like it to be something related to me and not just because a chat member said a thing and then people thought it was funny and then I related said thing. But that's a personal thing. Again, no shade or anything at Vinny or anything. So, woo! Definitely do be looking a little dark down there now. At least on the walls. But this is where our stairs go. So that's awesome. Actually, aren't the stairs 5 by 5? I think they're 5 by 5 and not 3 by 3. So I think I actually need to remove this circle that I just finished making. I'll worry about that later. But yeah, that's where the stairs go. The stairs go down into the center there. I'm almost positive it's supposed to be 5 by 5. Because there's no way that I did what I did in a 3 by 3. But yeah, the stairs then go straight down here. And reach down there. And then the stairs then continue upwards as well. Up to that floor. I think. Right? Isn't there 3 levels of storage? Because this is level 2. Maybe there's only 2 levels of actual storage. Or maybe this might be a level, and then that's a level. Huh. I don't remember. Oh well. I'll figure it out. But the important thing is that I actually don't need the scaffolding to be where it's at right now. I was hoping that I might have already had at least one somewhere. But I guess not. So I'll just grab one. Because now I no longer need that hole right there. Unplug that up. And then I can bring the scaffolding over here. Ah. I legitimately did have one. Ay, 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 ay. There we go. And we just build the scaffolding up here. And there we go. I mean, this is probably going to end up being a little dark over here. So I'll put down a couple of torches. Right in line with that torch and that torch. And that should light up everything well enough. Here, I'll even put one there. Ow! And then, so I mean, yeah, obviously it's a little dark, right? Like, all of this is all kind of dark. So one of the things that this helps with is that issue. Because you'll not only have the lights here, but you'll have the lights up there as well. And that will allow there to be light all the way around at a pretty even level. As an example, I would do this light here. And I have a button somewhere. That's how I lit up the others. Just gotta remember where I put it. Was it in one of the woods? I want to say dark oak. Yes. Now, as you can see, it's lit up there and down here at the same time. And then we just continue to do this in every spot. One up there, one down here. Maybe lower that one by one and raise this one by one. I'm not sure. But by putting the lights, you know, a certain distance away from each other and always being, you know, like near each other and whatnot, like this keeps the lights. This makes everything lit up really well. And you don't have to worry about it looking bad from there being a bunch of torches everywhere. Like I currently have. Because the lights are built right into the build. It's just going to be a lot of copper lamps. Is all. So, copper bulb. Well, yes, that's the waxed copper bulb. Blaze rods? Really? 3 blocks of copper, redstone, and a full-on blaze rod. Good Lord! Did not realize that we needed full-on blaze rods. I mean, we've got 28 of them. I guess that is fine-ish. I do have a few bulbs here that I can also use. Actually, I have a couple of waxed blocks of copper. Will that work, though? Is the question. Can I use the waxed and thus get waxed back? This I do not know. Waxed copper bulbs. Okay. You learn something new every day. So now we have 30 more waxed copper bulb. And what I want to do for now with these is just start setting up the ones on this side. Whoops. Because these are providing more than enough light. It's just, it's really just the aesthetic of having the extra lights. And, you know, not having the roof of the interior be dark, right? Because, I mean, there's also, like, putting the copper grates down so that they go all the way up. And this is what I did with the first set. Put down a light, put down a button, flip it. Put down a light, put down a button, flip the light. I'm sure that if I was smart, I could probably find some way to do this all, like, at once. But considering that I'm having trouble remembering to even freaking hit the button after I put it down, I'm just not smart enough, I don't think. But yeah, I'm gonna need way more blaze rods. But I'm also just gonna need like way more honeycomb and other such things. Unless I, you know, continue to use these waxed copper blocks. Like directly from the freaking trial chamber, so. But yeah, 30 wax cut copper blocks back out of all that, so there's that. And I've still got plenty of grates to build up with. And then there's the waxed chiseled copper if I want to do something with that. I don't think I'm going to use I don't think I'm going to use any of the oxidized stuff. I just don't think I have any real use for that. So, but yeah, I mean, look at that. We've got plenty of the storage now lit up with bulbs instead of blocks. Oh yeah. I keep seeing that and forgetting that I need to finish the freaking... that I need to put those blocks there. Somehow I just missed to put these 2 blocks down. So, but yeah, I'm gonna need to go farm some blaze rods. I might do that on a stream or something. Maybe. I don't know. We definitely still have plenty of Tuff. Like, I could probably finish the entire upper floor there with the amount of Tuff that we have left. I'm not worried about that. I just don't think I'm going to. However, I did just have this thought. I want to test it. Oop, I can draw cards from Pokemon TCG now. I want to test this. I'm a little worried that this won't look great because I have this section. I don't really think I can do that here. See, like, I can do that, right? And that looks good, but then what do I do here? I don't think I can replace, like, I don't think you can do a chiseled Tuff, a chiseled Tuff brick, slab, so I don't think I have an option for that. And I don't really want that to, like, yeah, see, I can't even throw that in there. I don't really want it to go to weight. You know, I don't really want that section to just be brick there. I want it to be one, like, pattern. Like the entire way along. Like, I don't know what to do about that. Because then when I get down here, then it's not a problem anymore again, right? Like, if I do that, like, see, I think that actually looks really good. Until it hits here, where it has to do this slant. And I just don't know what to do about the slant. Because I can't make, like, a slab version. I don't know. Leave a comment down below. Let me know what you think I should do about that. I could definitely do it here. Since this doesn't have the slant. I could definitely do it like this here. I think I have a full nother stack of the chiseled brick stuff in my inventory. I hope I do. Yes. Like that. I think that looks pretty good. I just don't know how to then take that and do it everywhere like I have here. If it was straight here, that would be fine. But I have this little, like, up. You know? Because the stairs go up. And so I don't know what to do there. Or if I even can. So... But I definitely think that this looks better with that at the top. So I'm going to keep that at least on the flat portions. The second floor is all flat. It doesn't have a lift at all. And so I'll be able to definitely do that there. I just can't do that here because of the slant. And I don't know how else I would do that, you know? And it looks really off going from the chiseled brick into the brick here. It just looks really off to me now. Especially with like the chiseled brick here, then going into this part. I don't know. I don't know what to do about that. I like legitimately. I really don't have a clue what I could possibly do to fix that. So I don't know. Leave a comment down below. Tell me what you think I should do. And maybe I will consider it. If I end up liking the idea, you know? I mean, 'tis the whole reason I'm asking for ideas. So that somebody can provide me with some that I can then utilize. So. But with that, I'm about to run out of Tuff bricks again. And at that point, I would have to make more to continue this construction. And I think I'm going to hold off a little bit. You know? Maybe I do a little more construction in between episodes, but not, you know, this episode. So, I hope you all have enjoyed. If you have, feel free to subscribe. If you haven't yet, you know. You can check the playlist for more streams and or pre-records. because I do both for this series. Just because there's some days I feel like Minecraft that don't feel like stream, you know? It's just easier that way. So, but yeah, I've enjoyed this, but I think it's time for me to hop off for other things. So, wow, I like barely used any of those blaze rods either, by the way. Goodness. And we made that many lights. That's kind of crazy. I didn't realize. I don't need as many as I was thinking I was going to end up needing. I guess we'll find out. I'm probably going to need a lot, to be completely honest. And, like, if we're doing double lights, you know? So, I just managed to kind of get around that for now because of the fact that I was doing it that way. So, yeah. I guess with that, I will see you all next time. Come on out, twitch.tv/SereneInc to watch when I actually do stream. Watch it live instead of pre-records. Bye-bye.